Margaret Kuhlman of Soul Astrology. I know lots of people are getting tired of hearing the intensity of the energy and how it's all happening and transformation, the order of the day. But I have to say that ever since Pluto went into Capricorn in 2008, transformations are happening on a practical, physical, material level. As human beings, needing to survive on the physical level, for our spirits to actually be here in the earthly plane, of course we notice the physical level rather more obviously than the more subtle levels of meaning and purpose, which is what was going on before 2008, while Pluto was going through Sagittarius. As Pluto will continue to be in Capricorn until 2023, we're going to have more transformations on the physical, practical level. So the difference with each new moon as it comes is not about that so much as how to orient ourselves as individuals with respect to these changes, and to notice the different quality of energy, the different quality of communication and relationships within these changes. This month it really does look very intense, the new moon chart. The few days before the new moon, Mercury made its way across Pluto, and here is Venus also, and particularly the 18, 19, 20, up to 22 degrees, very strikingly occupied in different signs, and so the pattern of connection is very strong. Lots of planets all working together. Particularly, Mars moving through Scorpio is joining in very strongly this month, with its sextile to Pluto, Venus and Mercury, and on the other hand also to Jupiter in the next few days and the North Node, at the same time as trining Chiron in Pisces, squaring the new moon itself, the Sun and Moon in Aquarius, and also quincunxing Uranus. It includes almost all the planets. Neptune this month is very gently hovering in the background, although it comes more into the fore at the full moon. Saturn is the other planet that I haven't mentioned, and in fact it's pretty closely trining Uranus. So let's try to say something sensible about this pattern. In some ways it's easier to speak about the pattern as a whole, as a sense of urgency, intensity, like the tightness of buds on twigs, the same colour as the twig, still very tight and yet growing on the inside. There is promise there, but the bud doesn't show at all what it's going to be while it grows, and it's hard as the twig itself. So if we didn't have previous years' understanding of what happens when buds grow and finally burst open, we really wouldn't know what these buds contained or what they were. And this is how it feels at the moment, almost as though we ourselves are the buds. Something's growing and changing on the inside. We look outside for the disturbance of ourselves. It seems that everything outside us is disturbed. But of course, everyone outside us is also inside themselves, and we're all reacting to that sense of inner disturbance. It bursts out in different ways. With Mars in Scorpio so closely aligned with these other planets, this month it really is important that we be in charge of our emotional expression. If we don't pay attention to how we're truly feeling about things, we're liable to find that we've reacted too violently to someone, out of all proportion to the situation. The Sun and Moon being in Aquarius are bringing quite a different flavour. And especially with the sextile to Uranus, it's a flavour of detachment, the ability to stand back from scenes, to observe what's going on. With Saturn trining the Uranus, and in Sagittarius, a lovely place for Saturn, the understanding of the bigger picture, being able to see what one's looking at with reference to its surroundings and context. It's as though we fall into two parts. The part that is deeply involved and caring and reactive, correctly involved, I think, with the trine towards Jupiter, the involvement of Jupiter on the North Node. So it's an involvement which is trying to sort things out, make things better. And on the other hand, the standing back to see where we stand as individuals. Where do I stand with respect to all this that's going on in the world? Or all this that's going on in my life? What's in it for me? And this could feel quite lonely. The quincunxes in the chart tell us that the way to pull these two sides of ourselves together is to make sure that we are taking care of or supporting at least one other person in our life other than ourselves. That care that goes out from us, the reaching out beyond our personal selves, is what makes sense of the whole thing. It's what draws us, even in our detached observation, into a group situation or into friendship, into community, so that we are not left out on a limb, just being potentially cynical or too clever, having all the answers but not doing anything about it. We need to get in there, but without losing our perspective. By the full moon chart, you can see that the intensity has softened. It's fallen away quite largely. It's a much softer pattern. So for those who worry about it always all going on, I think one could say that perhaps the work of the month is in the first half, gradually softening and relaxing. And it's as though if we do the best we can, as much as we can, with the changes that we know are necessary, if we can then relax without losing that central strength within ourselves, stay strong, stay alert, stay awake, and yet relax the drive. Because in a way, we may be preparing for the next new moon, which is one of those mighty eclipses of the sun. It's a total eclipse. We had one last spring as well, but this is another. It's going to happen on the 9th of March at 18-19 degrees Pisces, which is practically on Chiron and the South Node. An eclipse which possibly brings something completely unexpected. Potentially, not necessarily. One just can't predict these things. So this month could be the preparation for that, and I'll look more carefully at that when I get to March. In the meantime, just let's do the best we can. Be at peace with ourselves. Not try to put everything right or make all the decisions now. They can be left. When a decision needs to be made, it tends to be clear. When we are confused, it's often because we're not quite ready. Breathe and smile. Be, and everything will be done. The table is laid, But you must wait while the rice rests in the steam. The meal will be served only when it is ready, and the feast is for you.